This podcast is brought to you by Radio 786.
We're in the legal hour, and we continue with our series, of course, and that is the OCJ. The Office of Chief Justice has partnered with Radio 786 for a weekly radio outreach program. So this program takes place over the next 6 weeks. So access to justice is at the core of the OCJ's mandate. As such, it is the organization's duty to ensure that members of the public are aware of the services afforded to them at the superior courts. So public awareness around court processes remains a vital element in ensuring access to justice and the understanding of the role of the superior courts. So today we're going to be speaking about obtaining information on cases at the High Court. Interesting indeed. So to help us along, we have our Acting Chief Registrar at the Office of Chief Justice, Nicola Hanekom. And so we welcome you, Nicola, and thank you once again for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, really, we are learning so much and we're getting a better understanding how the courts are working. So let's speak about obtaining information on cases at the High Court. So how does a member of the public go about obtaining documents or information on cases from the court?
Okay, so I'm speaking specifically to the High Court in Cape Town, as that's where I'm based. Right. But the process is the same generally for all of the High Courts. So in order to obtain court documents or information on a specific case, this member of the public can utilize our online portal, which is called Court Online. This is if the matter is an online matter, and then they can also physically visit the court and request access to the file if it is still, a matter that was initiated pre-Court Online. So we're currently busy rolling out a system called Court Online, and the different divisions throughout the country are going live on this portal at different times. The Western Cape High Court, based in Cape Town, we went live in December last year. So matters that were initiated prior to that are still physical files, and then anything that was issued after the 2nd of December is an online file. So it just depends on, whether the matter is a physical file or an online file. But depending on what type of matter it is, that's going to sort of determine how you get access to that file. Access to a file is dependent on whether the person requesting access is a party to the matter, so if they're one of the people involved in the matter, as well as if the matter's already gone to court and has been finalized and it is then open to the public, in the case of someone who's maybe not a party to that matter, but they want to, obtain information from that file.
Right. Very interesting that, we don't realize that the court matters can also this thing called Court Online. So I'm quite curious to know a little bit more about Court Online.
Yes.
So tell us more about this access via Court Online.
Sure. So one of our coming sessions, we're going to, delve a little bit deeper into Court Online, but just as a sort of introduction today, in order to access a file via Court Online, you're going to start by registering a profile. So I'm going to give your listeners that web address. It's https://www.courtonline.judiciary.org.za, and you can also just search it in your search bar, courtonline.judiciary.org.za. We'll bring up the home page and you can register a profile. And we often tell, people in training that registering a profile on Court Online is as easy as registering a social media account. You sort of follow the prompts and you register yourself. And once you signed in, gaining access to a matter is done by following the section in the portal that says access a case. So you'll click on that section and you'll follow the prompts. There's a few things that you need to fill in, and once you've done that, it will allow you access to that matter. The registrars are the ones, or the registrar's office, we review all of the requests to access a file because sometimes access can be permitted. So in cases where confidentiality is an issue, maybe, for example, there's a minor child involved, certain cases are not available to everybody to see. So we usually review any requests for access to a file, and if it's a normal file that is a public record, then we will then grant your access. So Court Online is really great because it enables faster access to documents, as well as electronic inspection via the internet without you having to travel all the way to the High Court in order to peruse or look at that file and find the document or the information that you're looking for from that case. So it's really wonderful that we're moving forward technologically, and this portal is being rolled out nationally throughout the country.
Brilliant indeed. And it's also good to know that it's not like a chatbot. It's manned by human beings, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're on the back end of it, yes.
Mm-hmm. So what happens then, Nicola, for matters which are not online?
So yes, as I said earlier, anything pre-December 2024, in the case of the Western Cape High Court, those are physical files. So in other words, there's what we call a brown file, and the brown file contains the documents that were filed or that have, the court orders. All those things are contained physically in a file. So if you need information with respect to a physical file, then in those cases, you will need to actually visit the court. You will typically visit the relevant high court where the information is that you require. So we only have access, for example, to matters that were heard at our court. I do not have access, for example, to matters at the Johannesburg High Court, because those are physical files which are retained at that building. So if it is physical access that you require, and in those cases where it's still a brown file, then you would need to visit the specific court where that case was initiated. You would generally make your way to the general office. That's where we keep our files. That's where our filing systems are, and you can inquire from one of the registrars at the general office or one of the registrar's clerks, and they will be able to assist you to draw the file, and you can then have a look at it. Court records, as I said earlier, they're generally open to the public, and they are available for the public to view if the matter has gone to court and has been finalized and it's not a confidential matter. So in other words, it doesn't have any kind of restricted access issues. Those files are available for people to view and see what has happened in the files.
Thank you so much for that. So Nicola, can inquiries then be made via email as well?
So yes, we do take email inquiries at the court. We generally encourage the general public to come into the building, though, because as you can imagine, we receive many email inquiries, and so it may take some time to get a response to your email inquiry, whereas if you came into the building, you'd be able to get an answer sort of at the same time as when you come in. Yeah. But yes, we do take email inquiries.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So who should be contacted, and what information should one have when making an inquiry?
Okay, so to make an inquiry about a case at the High Court, you can contact the court manager or the Chief Registrar's office. It just depends on what you need to know. It's important to remember, though, as discussed in our first session, that court staff can't give legal advice. We can give you information on what's happened on the file and whether an order was granted, but we can't give legal advice. So when inquiring, you need to make sure that you have the case number, as well as the parties that were involved in the matter, and then any other information that would be able to assist the registrars in locating the file. So, for example, maybe you don't know the case number, but you know that the matter was on the court roll for hearing on, the 21st of May, as an example. Then usually that information will allow us to be able to trace that file. But the more information you have, the easier it is for us to locate the file and to be able to give you feedback on your inquiry. You can also have a look at the judiciary's website on each court, and whose the court manager and the chief registrar for that high court. So if you do have an inquiry that you want to send in via email, then their information is available on the judiciary's website. We also publish our court rolls. So the court rolls are where we set out which matters are before the judges on a particular day, and those court rolls are also available on the OCJ's website.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that. Then just in closing, your final thoughts that you'd like to share with the listeners, please.
I think that if you ever have an inquiry, we are here for you. Come in, bring your information, and we can assist you as best we can. As I said earlier, it's important to realize that unfortunately our court staff is not here to give legal advice, but we can usually assist you with what it is you're trying to find out, and we can assist you with a copy of an order if that's what you're looking for from the file, or whatever information you may need to then take that matter further. We are here for, the members of the public to bring their inquiries.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you so much for that. And I mean, from with our very first program that we did, we spoke about how scary it is when we think about the courts, and especially when it comes to the Supreme or High Court. So I really appreciate, that you have the time to create this awareness so that we have a better understanding the role that you and the courts play.
Absolutely. This is a wonderful opportunity for the OCJ to spread awareness and to, let people know what we're doing here in the building.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you so much once again to you, Nicola. Looking forward to our next chat. Take care.
Thanks again. Bye.
Bye. Wonderful. Do stay tuned to Radio 786 on 100.4 FM. That was Nicola Hanekom. She is the acting chief registrar. So today we were looking at obtaining information on cases at the High Court. Stay tuned to 100.4 FM.